Let's start with this. An update on how you and your team are doing. I know y'all kind of had some damage in your downtown facility. How's everybody doing?
Thank you so much for asking. Yes, no, everybody is well. We are not going to be working out of that office for some time next week. Those that can work from home will be working from home. But just like our community, some of our employees also have been without electricity. So we are doing our best to restore all of our communities, including those of our employees as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the progress that CenterPoint has been able to make. Where are we at, kind of today versus where we were on Thursday at the start of this?
Sure, thank you. So first of all, we'd like to thank our customers for all of their patience during this process. The entire region was hit pretty severely with these storms, and I know you've seen some of the dramatic footage of some of the destruction from those storms, and I know some homes were also impacted. So we just again like to thank our communities for their patience, and of course our emergency management personnel, elected officials, and all those that are working tirelessly to get our customers up and running again. So as of 10:30 this morning, we had just under 500,000 customers still out of electricity, but in the meantime, at the peak, we had 920,000 customers out. So more than 82% of our customers, or 2.3 million people, do have power this morning.
And we kind of talked yesterday, those high voltage transmission lines on those big steel towers that kind of seem to be the biggest. I'm sorry, that kind of seemed to be the biggest of the problems, right?
That's one of the issues, yes. Those towers, we do have those transmission and distribution electric systems that were severely impacted like those. Although, crews are continuing to make progress. They made some progress overnight, and we do have some mutual aid assistance that have come in this morning. So we have about 2,200 mutual assistance professionals that have arrived, have been onboarded, and currently assisting. And so we'd like to thank those organizations, companies like CPS Energy, Texas New Mexico Power, Quanta, Centerphase, Midcon, and CSR. They're taking time to come and assist so that we can get our customers up and running as quickly as possible.
In total, between CenterPoint staff contractors and the mutual aid, do you know how many people y'all have out in the field working to get power back on?
So right now we have 4,400 employees and contractors. We're still waiting for another additional about 2,000 more.
A lot of people, they're frustrated as the days and the hours go on. Put this into words. This isn't your run of the mill thunderstorm knocked over a couple power lines. Can you give us a look at the gravity of the damage to the infrastructure?
Yeah, so again, we're still assessing the infrastructure at this time. Like you said, we have had significant damage. It is not run of the mill, but we are updating some of that infrastructure information on X. If you follow at CenterPoint, you can see some of the photographs that we've taken, that some customers have taken, and others to show the damage. And then also on X, we're updating the information as quickly as possible.
And for people at home that are frustrated, I get it. I've been out without power after a disaster as well. It's not a fun time. Many people looking for just a timeline. What can you tell them in those hardest hit areas? What is their timeline?
Oh, thank you. So, we certainly appreciate and empathize with the people that still don't have electricity at this time. We are doing our best. Safety is our number one priority, and so we are doing our best to get them as quickly and as safely restored as possible. Again, we are looking to continue restoration today and into tomorrow with hopefully getting the majority of those customers that can receive power back up and running by the end of Wednesday. In the meantime, we would like to suggest to our customers to, not only with CenterPoint Energy's infrastructure damaged, but their own home infrastructure may be damaged or business infrastructure may be damaged. And so to check the weatherhead, that's the point between our infrastructure and their infrastructure, to make sure that it is still working. If it's damaged, then they need to call an electrician to have that fixed so that they can then receive power safely. We'd also like to remind our customers that those that may want to use generators, to please be sure that it is connected appropriately, not to use them inside or in a garage. Use them safely. If those generators are not connected appropriately, it could potentially backfeed into the system, which could cause harm to the public, to them, and even our CenterPoint Energy customer or employees and contractors. And then also just to remind our customers to stay 35 feet away from any of the electric infrastructure. It could be energized if they see it, to please call 911 if they see if there's any concern, and then or 311 to report a downed line. And then also I'd like to remind our customers, as we're starting to restore their electricity and some damage that may be occurring on their homes, that any trash or anything that they'd like to set aside for the garbage to pick up, to keep it away from natural gas meters, because the garbage service may be utilizing some machinery to pick up that garbage, and we'd hate for them to accidentally hit one of those meters. If they do smell natural gas, they certainly can report that. But just to be mindful of these things, and fences that are down, things of that nature, to make sure to call 811 before they or any contractors that they may hire go digging into their yards. Make sure that they call 811 so that we can come out and safely identify where the utilities are and they can safely do their work.
You said Wednesday would be for some folks. Do you foresee that being 100% restoration to those that can receive power, or do you think there could be some that are still waiting after Wednesday?
The goal is for Wednesday for those that can receive power.
For folks that have medical conditions, they need oxygen, maybe they need their medicine to be in a fridge. A lot of people, it's hard to pinpoint down to my address or my neighborhood when power will be turned back on. What is CenterPoint's recommendation for people in those shoes, as we go into, day 3 of this? What does CenterPoint recommend for those if they're just not sure when they're going to get power turned back on? What should they do?
Yeah, so certainly we recommend that they find alternative means or locations in order to meet their needs.
And talking about the big high transmission lines, those towers, that's not something that you just dig a hole, put a new wooden pole in the ground and throw some wires up on it. Can you discuss the rebuild process on that? Because that's what feeds the other substations which go into homes, right? Can you talk about how that rebuild process will be and potentially a timeline on that?
Sure. So at this time, those transmission towers that are currently you're referring to, we have rerouted electricity. So all of the transmission lines that are fully operational are, and as well as a little over 50% of our distribution. So those particular lines, although that they are still damaged, the power's been rerouted, and so it will probably take a few days for or more for those to be fixed. But currently, we are the electricity has been rerouted at those locations so that we can still feed electricity into the system.
Any thought? I mean, after an infrastructure failure like this, any thoughts from CenterPoint on undergrounding these electrical lines? Is that something that they can do now, or is that a project they have to do in the future?
Yeah, so right now we're focused on this current situation, and so any future, infrastructure opportunities or conversations we can certainly have at another time. At the moment, that's not something that we're focused on, so we can certainly look into that in the future.
all of this happening right on the cusp of hurricane season too. Are crews also working on preventative maintenance as, God forbid we see a hurricane come our way?
That's a great question. Thank you. So we actually had recently had a hurricane preparedness workshop, and so all of our emergency personnel, our emergency operations center personnel, et cetera, we had a training a couple weeks ago where we worked through this process. But we have ongoing training, we have ongoing communications, and we've already been preparing for the hurricane season. So this is actually just I think an one opportunity where we've been able to bring together all of those individuals that were in that training already. And so we are prepared, we're ready. And, within 24 hours, we were able to get a significant number of people up and running, and we continue to restore power steadily. So we'd like to share with the community, we're certainly prepared and ready for the hurricane season, and we'll continue to engage all of our stakeholders as necessary in order to make certain that we are ready to go for hurricane season.
We had some viewers ask us, why do I not have power, but my neighbors across the street have power? Any insight that you could give us as to how that happens?
Sure, there's a number of reasons that could be happening. It could be that they may have damage to some of their own infrastructure. Like I mentioned, the weather hit earlier in our conversation. It could be that. They could be on a different circuit than their neighbor. There could be a multitude of reasons. And so it's hard to speculate without knowing specifics about that home or that area.
Is it true that there are prioritized circuits or grids that you work to get on first? And if so, how do I know if I'm one of those prioritized grids or circuits?
Yes, so we certainly work to prioritize those facilities that are critical, like hospitals, emergency response centers, houses, things like of that nature. And then following those priorities, and we go into circuits that have the largest number of people on that circuit that could be served, and then we work our way from there.
Is there any way to see if my home or business is looped in on that?
So the best way to see where you stand, we actually is to sign up for our Power Alert service. And that will give you an email or a text depending on how you would like to receive the information on your restoration time.
Is there anything else that I didn't ask that is pertinent that you want the community to know, those without power to know?
Again, I just want to thank all of our community members for their patience. I mean, certainly we are all feeling the effects of these storms. We were not we didn't necessarily know that it was going to be of this magnitude in the area. So again, want to thank everyone for their patience, their understanding. Again, we're working very closely with our elected officials, emergency personnel. We'd like to thank again all of those mutual assistance organizations that are coming in from not only our area and region, but from other states like Indiana to assist us so that we can get power up and running as quickly as possible. And please know that we are going to work tirelessly. We're going to work overnight as much as we need to until the very last customer is connected. So we appreciate everyone's understanding, and we will continue to work diligently for you.
You brought up a good point. How far away are some of these mutual aid assistance organizations coming from? You said Indiana. What are some other areas that they're coming from?
So right now, I'm just aware of Indiana being the other state because we do have contractors, as well as CenterPoint has operations in Indiana and Evansville, Indiana. So that's why we have people coming from there at the moment.
Any idea on the financial burden, how much the repairs and infrastructure damage will cost CenterPoint?
No, it's too early to assess that at the moment. Right now, we're focused on just getting restoration efforts completed.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate everything.
Of course, no, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you, to give our customers an update. We can't do this and get our messaging and this information to our customers without your help. So we truly appreciate that. Thank you so much.